Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. We are thrilled to death that you're listening to the show. It's just me and Tony today in the studio. And, trying to keep all the smells and stuff to a bare minimum, right, Tony?
What,
please?
Smelly stuff?
Yeah. But listen, hey, we're here for a show. We're going to talk about guitar stuff, which is our favorite thing to talk about.
What is it that we do?
With you, the listener. I know you're not, you can talk to us. It's okay. We may not hear you, but we feel you. Now, Tony,
Yes.
I think we've got a great show ahead of us. We have got someone on the line.
Who is that?
We're going to interview. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, it's me.
Yes.
Dave.
Oh, you.
If only there was video. What is your name and what is your quest?
Hey, so I am Dave. I'm Dave Jordan from Non-Human Audio.
Yes. Dave Jordan from Non-Human Audio. That's him, and this is his. We're going to talk about his pedals. Sent a couple pedals our way, and he's got more than the ones that he sent us. So
yes, he does.
We've got a lot to talk about.
We do.
And Dave, where are you calling from this fine evening?
I am based in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Must have taken
just-
a wrong
just
turn in
No,
Albuquerque.
Tony. God dang it.
That's a bold Bugs Bunny line.
I know it's an
It's
old
the
Bugs Bunny
greatest
line.
Bugs Bunny
It's-
line, perhaps.
No, it's not. Anyways, it's close. So yeah, we're gonna have some fun with Dave. Non-Human Audio. Where can people go check out the things that you make whilst they are listening?
Well, my website is just nonhumanaudio.com, but most of my content is Instagram, which is also just at non-human-audio. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I tried TikTok for a little bit and then kind of gave up.
The dancing is just
I don't know.
it's too difficult. Anyhow, so we're gonna have some fun, everybody. We're glad that you are listening. We feel your presence, and it should be fun. So let's get on with it. We've got just a couple quick announcements. First, I want to just give a little hint at a very, very special episode that we are cooking up right now. And that's it. That's the hint. I have to give a little bit more. It will have to do with things of the magnetic nature that is not pickups.
Magnets. Is
Yes.
that like things you put on the wall? The whole thing, whole papers and stuff?
Yes, we're going to do boutique refrigerator magnets.
Oh, I love that. I love that idea.
Yes. We really do have a fantastic episode that's brewing. There's a lot of people involved, and I'm super excited for it because I'm watching it come together. That won't be for a couple weeks, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Just share the excitement as you would with a friend. So I'm
Yes.
sharing that with you. All right.
Thanks, friend.
Yes, friends out there. Also, we got a little something from our friend Erland Tate, who lives in the UK. Yes, he says, "Hey Todd, I'm enjoying the latest podcast with Monkey Riot pedals, and just wanted to say how glad I am that your hand is getting better. Thank you. That was really nice. Here's to blistering guitar solos. Well,
Yeah.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Also, regarding the difference between the UK versus Great Britain versus Britain, etc., I have no idea, and I don't think anyone else does either. I watched a little video on why they are called different things and where those boundaries are.
Yeah.
It is confusing.
Yeah.
Super confusing.
Yeah.
The difference between the UK,
Yes.
Britain,
Yes.
Great Britain, and the British Isles.
Well, don't forget about Scotland and Wales.
That's not what we're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But they are included in the British Isles.
No, they're not. the
Yeah,
British
Scotland
Isles.
is part of it's all the UK.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, United Kingdom.
Something like that. See, we're guessing right now. There's the map out there. Google it. You'll feel better and go to sleep at night. Okay.
And don't forget Northern Ireland. That's part of the UK.
Sure. I guess so.
Right.
Yeah. I just know that there's a bunch of different overlaps and boundaries. Anyhow.
I have an announcement.
Oh, please do, Tony.
And it relates to the UK.
Okay.
So unless you've been hiding or sleeping under a rock, you may have heard of this Oasis reunion tour.
Yeah.
And that kicks off next July.
It's
July and August in 2025. I think I think there should be a bet as to if it actually happens.
That's actually a thing in Vegas.
Oh, it is.
You can actually
bet
gamble on how many shows they're going to make before they break up.
So there's I forget how many shows are listed on there.
And if anybody doesn't know, because I haven't mentioned it in the last 5 minutes, I'm a lifelong huge Oasis fan, mad for it, like the whole 9 yards. I love Liam. I've seen Noel. I love it. So I was massively, massively excited, and my inbox immediately, as soon as they announced it, I had to put it on silent because I was just like, everybody's like, it's coming, it's really gonna happen. Yeah, and Joe Halliday,
yes,
from Hello Sailor.
Hello Sailor.
I told him, I said, Joe, this is happening, and he was like out of his mind as well.
Oh yeah.
And I said, if you can get tickets, like I will pay for yours and pay for mine. You just got to hang out with me while I'm there. And so we were trying desperately to get tickets, as a lot of people in the world were.
Yeah, because I don't. They claim that they may have an extended tour in the United States.
Well, Ticketmaster went down a bunch of times.
I don't think that it's going to happen. If they make it through this UK tour, I think it'll be a miracle.
We're done.
I hate you. I hate
but
you
who
too.
knows? Maybe they'll do a whole new album. You never know. Things happen.
I doubt it.
Things happen.
So if you're in Cardiff,
Don't count them down
Wales,
and out.
that's the kickoff. You can go to Manchester. I would go to the Manchester.
Oh my
show.
gosh. I mean, Manchester and London, that's where everybody wants to go.
Wembley, they're having, it's like 4 or 6 nights or something at Wembley, and Edinburgh in Scotland, and they ended in Dublin, Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is...
where their heritage is.
Are they really Irish?
Yeah, Gallagher's are Irish.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
They're not Gallagher's?
No. Anyhow, so Joe, I know he's continuing to work. So Joe, I'm with you in spirit, man. Because I want to go hang out with Joe so bad.
Oh, that'd be very cool.
Go see Reeves. Go see all the people that we've met over the time over there.
So anyhow, I figured you, just in case you hadn't heard of it, Todd.
Oh, thank you.
I just wanted to let you know.
You looking out for me there. Anyways, yes, and all this started because Erlen Tate's from the UK. So, hey, thanks a lot, Erlen, for the well wishes. It is feeling much, much better. I'm very hopeful. I'm playing like
it looks
crazy
a lot
right
better.
now.
It doesn't even look swollen or anything.
I'm really very hopeful about this. So, onward and upward. Let's talk about what's going on in our music world this week. Starting off with Tanya Bolonsky, and then we're gonna hear from Dave.
Well, I must be in a UK kind of mood because in my inbox I got an invitation from Bonham's Auction House, and they have a Rory Gallagher auction coming up in October, and
he's an unsung hero.
Well, he's often quoted as the greatest guitar player you never heard of.
Yeah.
Because his solo career he had a band, and in his solo career, I mean, it just never really took off. But he influenced people like Alex Lifeson from Rush, Brian May, of course, from Queen, and Eric Clapton. And, all of these, it's kind of that bluesy kind of Bonamassa kind of thing going there. Fantastic guitar player, and he was known for having this beat-up 1961 Strat that had like 90% of the finish worn off of it. And he bought that in 1963, played it till he died in 1995. That was his main guitar. So that is going to be one of the items. There's 150 items going up.
Wow.
The biggest one is going to be
this
that
a guitar auction?
It's guitar memorabilia.
Wow.
His family just decided.
What's the website that people can go see this at?
It's Bonham's, BONHAM apostrophe S.
BONHAM
apostrophe S.
Apostrophe S? There's no apostrophes on a website.
Okay, well then just do Bonham's auction. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Boom. No, that's not
That's not it.
Anyhow, do a Google search.
Don't listen to Tony.
Do a Google search.
Bonham's auction. All right.
There you go.
It's just bonhams.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, bonhams.com.
Okay.
And so they're expecting, and I think this is a low estimate, that guitar will sell somewhere in U.S. dollars between $900,000 and $1.3 million.
Whoa. Tom Petty?
Yeah, there's a Tom Petty auction going on right now, too. Yeah, there's some cool, there's some very cool stuff in there. But in case that might be a little rich for your blood, the other guitar highlights on the auction that are quasi sort of more affordable. One of his 1959 Fender Esquire. They expect that to go between $100,000 and $160,000. His '68 Martin D35. They expect that to go between like $34,000 and $52,000. He has a 1963 Gretsch Corvette for between $16,000 and $20,000, and a '76 Fender Tele Deluxe that they expect between $13,000 and $20,000. But I mean, the big deal there is that 1961, and I think it's going to go for. I'm gonna guess that it's going to go between $1.75 and $2 million.
What?
Yes.
Come on.
It's an iconic guitar.
It's not even on here. It's not showing up at all.
Well, you have to. Oh, there it is. There's the Rory Gallagher stuff.
But that's the.
Yeah, well, that's the Gretsch Corvette. You have to actually go to upcoming auctions. But a couple of interesting things about that particular guitar. They believe it's the first Stratocaster that was ever sent to Ireland.
Really?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's it's just such a very cool looking guitar with the finish all worn off. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty neat.
So you want to go in with me, Todd? We can probably
on a Strat.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll trade in your Honda Odyssey.
What?
Didn't you have a Honda Odyssey or no?
No.
What was your minivan?
It doesn't matter. No, I don't want that thing. Under no circumstances, even if I had all the money in the world, that's not my bag of chips. But anyways, I'm glad it's yours.
Yeah.
Very cool. Dave, how about yourself?
I actually have. I have an auction story, a music related auction story. Cool. Actually,
tell.
So I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. I'm just not that kind of a person. Mm-hmm. But a long time ago, I mean, it must have been, 10 years ago, after Ronnie James Dio died, his estate was auctioning off all of his stuff. Mm. And so Ronnie was not just, one of the greatest singers who ever lived, but he was a musician. And so he had all this gear, and they were auctioning off stage props, stage costumes, Dio's personal jewelry, art that fans had given to Dio, and basically everything that had just been sitting in their mansion or whatever they were auctioning off. And I love Dio. I think Dio, like I said, I think he's the greatest heavy metal singer that ever lived, and easily one of the greatest singers that ever lived.
Yeah.
And one of the things in the auction was Dio's personal Motorhead sweatshirt.
Oh,
wow.
And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford this. This is going to sell for thousands of dollars. This is Dio's Motorhead sweatshirt.
Right.
So I I didn't even follow the auction. I was like, I just out of sight, out of mind. And like after the fact, I went and looked at what it went for, and it really only went for like a couple $100.
Wow.
Oh no. Yeah, you're regretting.
And
that.
like that has haunted me for like a decade. The fact that like I could have owned Dio's personal Motorhead sweatshirt that may have even like been given to him by Lemmy or something, you know, like I just, man, to this day, when I think about it, I just like, it's okay. It's okay. It is one of my few life regrets, but it's okay.
That's, those things happen. You got to pounce on them with a, carpe diem, man.
Yeah.
Well, so what's going on in your music world this week besides lamenting your auction nightmare?
Yeah. Not much actually. Like weirdly, I was kind of thinking about this recently because, I do like Q&As on Instagram, and last time I did one, somebody asked what I had been listening to a lot, or if like any new records had been kind of like, been in my heavy rotation. And recently I've weirdly just kind of been listening to like revisiting old stuff that I haven't listened to in a while, and not like really old, but like kind of like nostalgic stuff from my childhood or like my teenage years, that kind of thing. So I've been listening to like, 90s, like second wave emo stuff. And I've been listening to like Hum a lot, and kind of been like revisiting those things and like falling back in love with those. But, I haven't really been listening to like too much new stuff. New stuff's been coming out, and I'm getting it, and it's just kind of sitting next to my record player recently, because I just like, I don't know, I haven't really been in the mood for it.
Mm-hmm. I kind of went on a similar path. I got really so I like Drive quite a bit, I just kind of started going down a path of like listening to Dive and Slow Dive and Bloody Valentine and like all the stuff, and it's just like I was like, oh man, I haven't been here in a while. This feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can understand that. When I get home, I usually put on like old jazz.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Especially
I have a
junk.
I've got a pretty decent. I mean, certainly there's people that have like way bigger jazz collections, but I have a fairly decent sized jazz record collection. A lot of Blue Note stuff. Blue Note's been doing for a couple of years now. They've been doing what they call like the Tone Poet series, where they're like, now the Blue Note stuff was like notoriously like amazingly recorded, and the original pressings of those records were like spared no expense, like amazing sounding. Mm-hmm. But they were all taken care of really well. So they've actually been going back and like remastering some of that really classic stuff and putting it out on like, 180 gram double vinyl kind of stuff. So I pick those up when I kind of like when one catches my eye.
Yeah.
But I'm also just like, I'm the kind of person that if I'm in an antique mall, will just like go diving through somebody's jazz records bin and just, buy something that has a trumpeter on it that I recognize,
Yeah.
even if I don't know what it is. And
for sure. The thing that kind of kickstarted all that is that I picked up Ride's latest album, and it just really woke me up, and then started going down like all the old rabbit holes where they'd previously been. And, in case Andy Bell is listening, I'm just saying, I would love to have you on the show because, he is a founder and guitarist of Ride, and also he was the bass player for a long time in Oasis. Is in a good story there because they called him up after the original bassist left, and they said, we'd like you to play bass for us. And he's like, I don't know if you know me, but I don't play bass. And he goes, they said, that's why we want you to play bass.
Because the other guy didn't know how to play bass either.
Because they didn't want, they were going to be inundated with like, I'm a bass player, you know?
Yeah.
And they wanted somebody who was totally down with like guitar music.
Yeah.
Like big stadium guitar music. And they thought he'd play the bass kind of like with a guitar mentality, and it would be great. And it was. That's a story that has been passed on to me through the generations.
Nice.
Okay. Well, as for me, I have been.
How about you, Todd?
Thank you, Tony. I resituated my whole downstairs area because it was just for years had been just sort of accumulating and just kind of organically transforming and growing and stuff. And I said, this is getting out of control. I need to straighten this up, because I was also lacking for a place to actually like, okay, I'm on to something. I want to capture it. And so I cleared space and I got it ready. And then, I realized, I'm like, okay, so I can mic the amp and I can go into the Captor X and I can go into the interface. And I said, man, I just want to play right now. And I plugged in the Black Star Amped 2 and have not looked back. Because I can just go right into the
Don't
computer.
look back in anger.
I won't. Go right into the computer. I'm not doing gig stuff, so the sound doesn't have to be exactly, oh, this is my sound. And I don't have my pedal board. I can hook my pedal board up, and I'm like, bypass it. I'm just trying to get it down for writing purposes. And it is such a fantastic and powerful tool for guitarists to use at home and not worry about your pedal board and your amps and all that stuff. Just plug in, bang, here's your headphones. You're not waking up the neighbors. Instantly playing. You got modulation. You got time, delay, reverb, tuner, 3 to 4 different kinds of amps on. I mean, it's just such a great piece of equipment. I really highly recommend, if you are looking for something to solve that problem, it's one cable in, a set of headphones, a cable out to your computer if you want to record it, and or not, and just play. And it's great. That's all I got. Okay, now what I don't need when I'm using that are Tour Gear Designs patch cables, but that's okay because I got them all used up on my pedal board.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the 2 pedal boards. So
wait a second.
What?
Are you saying that you don't need to hook that fanciful amp?
I don't. All of mine are used up on my actual pedal board, and thank goodness they are, because they are the best things to use to hook up pedals. So, like for example,
yes.
when I'm plugging in these 2 non-human audio, bang,
boom.
I use the 3-inch C cables.
Yeah.
Bow, we're done.
When I was trying these, I used Tour Gear Designs.
I know you did. If you go over to Tour Gear Designs patch and get some patch cables, you can save 15%.
How?
By using the guitar knobs, all one word, in your coupon box there.
Coupon code,
Yeah.
if you will.
So please do that. You won't be sorry. We promise that. We can't guarantee it.
We will promise it.
Yes, but we will promise it. And we need to say a huge thanks to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor. Tony?
And make it a little bit easier.
1, 2, 3. 4 on the Floor. All right. Dave Jordan, Non-Human Audio. What is your 4 on the floor?
All right, so I have 4 things. 3, well, actually 2 of them are relatively new. One is very old, and one is I've had for a little while, but I've kind of recently fallen back in love with it. So we'll start with the very old, but like I have a thing for big muffs. Anybody that like follows me on Instagram would probably know that. But fairly recently, I got a version 5 from 1979. And anybody that's played a lot of big muffs knows that sometimes there are just big muffs that are special. And this is absolutely one of them. Like, I actually, in my quest to hopefully eventually get one of every iteration of Big Muff. I've never really focused on the op amp versions because I got one of the like op amp reissues, one of the small EHX ones, and like I never really fell in love with it. And then I just caught a deal on a V5 on Reverb, and it is just one of those special ones. There's just something about it, like it's a little bit loud. Like I after that one, I bought another V5 because it was at my local music shop and it was cheap. So I was like, well, sure, I'll just, keep adding to the pile. And that one's good, but it's not as good as that one V5 that I got. And there's just something about that one. It like the op amp versions don't sound like the other versions of the Big Muff, and they all kind of sound a little bit different anyway. But like there's something about this one that it just has like that 10% extra magic sauce that is really special.
It's neat when there are like sub factors within niches. Like we were just talking about records and stuff, and I think it's similar. It's like, oh, I want to get that record. Okay, cool. Well, actually, I want to get the first release of that record. Okay, well, that's cool. Well, actually, I want to get the first release import of that record. It's like you can, I want to get the one with the insert when they did the color insert instead of the plain insert. Blah 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 blah. It's fun because you can find all the little stuff within something that you love, and pedals obviously are also one of those things, especially when you're dealing with some of the older pedals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, I've actually come into that with some of my own pedals sometimes because, as I've gone on and changed kind of, some of the finishing, or like the early ones were stamped with individual letters instead of the full logo. And then, there was one time where I saw like a Slow Loris on Reverb, and somebody was like, this is the early version with the letter stamps. And like, it's the same pedal, but okay.
Yeah. Versioning thing is,
maddening.
It is a little bit. But that's also why we often, when we have pedal builders on, one of the things that we always talk about is doing, it's one thing to be like, oh, I'm going to do, this is the way every single pedal looks. There's some benefit in actually doing different releases of colorways, or just switching those things up a bit, because we like collecting stuff. We like having something that is more special than the next thing. And
one of a kind.
Yeah,
we love the one of a kind.
Even one of a kind, but it doesn't even have to be a one of a kind. It can be a some of a kind,
a small of a kind.
Yes, I like some of a kind.
Can we
go with that?
That's definitely a thing with Big Muffs too, for sure, because they are all a little bit different, like I have 3 version 8s and they all sound different.
I wonder if any of the old
with Big Muffs, it's kind of like the chase.
Yeah. I wonder. See, now if I was Mike Matthews, I would have been like, I'm gonna do a golden ticket and put my like cigar stub in like one of these old Big Muffs, and then like in 30 years say, whoever's got that, we're gonna give you a gold one. That'd be great.
I do have one of the gold ones too, actually.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's cool.
I had to. Like, I hesitated for about 10 seconds when they went on sale, and then I was like, I have to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's great. It sounds amazing. Mine, funnily enough, mine was actually assembled kind of poorly. Where like one of the solder joints for the power connection was actually like not really well done. So it was actually having trouble turning on.
Oh.
And thankfully, I'm a person that can like fix that, because I was like, man, I bought this gold Big Muff. Doesn't even really work.
Wow. They'll never play them. They're just going to resell them anyways.
Yeah, I think mine is probably, weirdly enough, I think I probably just like lucked out and got a bad one, if that's how you want to phrase it, you know?
Sure.
Because I haven't heard of anybody else having that issue. So, but then again, yeah, like maybe to your point, maybe most people aren't even playing them. So I don't know.
Maybe not. What's number 2?
All right. So number 2 is one of my more recent acquisitions, is the Old Blood Noise Visitor.
Oh.
Which I don't know if you guys have ever played the Visitor, but like I'm a huge chorus fan. Like I love chorus pedals. And the Visitor, in true Old Blood fashion, they didn't just make a chorus pedal, but it is, you know, like a dual modulator, which you can set the different channels to be different modulations. So you can have like dual chorus, which is kind of how I like running it because I think it sounds amazing, or like one chorus, one tremolo, or one chorus, one phaser. And you can kind of like layer those together and get like really different, interesting textures and everything. And they had a limited colorway not too long ago that was like all blue and pink. And I also have a thing for pink pedals. So
we have another friend that likes pink
I've
pedals, don't we?
Yeah. Henry Cash. Yeah, from Starcrawler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
everything's pink.
Yeah, but the Visitor is just it's a super fun pedal. I've really been enjoying playing it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That double chorus thing is like, man, and I'll do that on my own board, like my own personal pedal board. I have everything set so subtly because I really like everything to do a little bit and then all kind of come together to create this big sound, rather than just having like one pedal that like goes overboard and does everything. So like having a double chorus is like really interesting because I have several kind of chorus like modulations on my own board, and you know, layering those things always just sounds super cool.
That is cool. That is cool. Is more than one chorus called an ensemble? Is that what that? No.
I don't know.
Maybe it should be.
Although
somebody go make that.
More than one chorus. More than one chorus would
ironically, the Boss chorus ensemble is like their most subtle chorus pedal.
Yeah. So more than one chorus would be a chori.
I don't know if it would be.
Yes.
It would be. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, how about number 3?
Number 3 was the Chase Bliss Mood 2. Mood Mark II. For a lot of Chase Bliss pedals, I really admire their design and their level of engineering and their level of ingenuity. But a lot of them have always kind of fallen under the like, well, I'm glad this exists, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
Kind of camp. So I never really checked out the Mood because I always kind of assumed it fell into that camp. And then, you know, Chase Bliss is another company that will frequently do kind of semi-limited colors and designs. And
did you get the confetti one?
no, I got the Light Bright one. The Light Bright one it's black with like basically like all the kind of like
Okay, got it.
color lines coming out in the middle. Yeah, I sat down with that, and like as soon as I got my bearings on it, I was like, oh, this is never leaving my board. Like, it's so engaging, at least for me, it was so engaging when I clicked in with it, and I was figuring out how to do these things that I never knew that Mood could actually do. And Mark II being in stereo, like I run a stereo setup, so the stereo effects are really, really interesting. It's kind of a masterpiece. Like I think they've sold something insane, like 15,000 of them at this point.
Wow.
And like once I played it, I wasn't at all surprised. I was like, oh, I get it. I get why this is on everyone's board, because
That's
it's
like
just
a $500 used pedal.
Oh yeah.
Do the math on that, everybody. Goodness sakes.
Yeah, but it's so good and it sounds amazing. So yeah, Mood 2, and you know, a couple these newer ones. Like I'm friends with Brady and a bunch of the people from Old Blood, and like I've become friendly with Joel. So some of these are a little bit like, well, let's shout out my friends. But they are, like I said, once I clicked with the mood, I was like, I don't see how I could have a pedal board without at least one of these.
Yeah, that seemed to be kind of one of the big milestone pedals of its kind, even within the Chase Bliss lineup. I think people really
definitely
went there on that one. What about number 4?
So number 4 is actually kind of interesting because it ties into the whole I don't know, one of the reasons why I'm on your show, I'm sure. But number 4 is the Benson delay, actually.
Oh.
Because when I met Chris Benson, we actually did a trade. I gave him a Slow Loris and he gave me the delay pedal. And I had seen some demos and I was like, yeah, it's a delay pedal. Like, it sounds good. But it is, at least for me, just one of those pedals that, like, playing it made me come to a different realization than just, like, hearing it.
Really?
He just knocked it out of the park with this pedal. Like, it has so much character and so much life in it, and so much flexibility. There's like hidden menus where you can like set your tap subdivisions and you can change your modulation LFO shape. And like it immediately went on my board. And then for the sake of space, I took it off for a little while. And then it was one of those that I had to put it back on because it just does what it does so well.
It's not a delay that gets a lot of discussion time. It just doesn't really come up as much as, well, certainly some of his other products, but in the realm of delay, I rarely hear that one mentioned.
Yeah, I think I don't know why, because like I said, I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the people that have one love it, but because it is, I don't know, like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's a delay. Well, it's not like descending from electronic audio, right? Which isn't this amazing.
Well, and Benson does really straightforward stuff too, for the most part. So yeah.
So I think it did kind of fly under the radar for a lot of people, but it really is a really, really excellent pedal. I mean, it's probably the best PT2399 based delay pedals on the market, and like, I say that as somebody that makes more than one PT2399 based pedal.
Yes.
And it's really incredible. But the thing about it is that like he was designing a Bucket Brigade delay pedal. So the architecture of the pedal is all, based on these things that you would do to make a Bucket Brigade delay sound good. And then instead of using these like really difficult to acquire, really expensive Bucket Brigade chips, he used the PT2399 chip instead, which is a fairly affordable, very readily available chip. And he just took that chip and stuck it in this framework that would normally be used for like really fancy analog delays, and just applied it to this like cheap digital delay chip that was used in karaoke machines. And it sounds incredible. Like it's so good.
Well, I have not personally played that one, but now you've got me wanting to. Interesting. Well, go out and get them, and that's one of those ones that holds its value. Used, it's about $220. Brand new, it's $279. And we always say, if you can buy something directly from the artist, please do that, everybody. Okay. Well, that's an excellent 4 on the floor. And
a couple of new ones.
Yeah, a couple of new ones. And somewhat, I mean, it dovetails nicely into what we were, what you're on the show for here. And what I'd like to do, just really quick, I had accidentally clicked on the Florist by Benson amps. And hello,
And behold,
what do I see here? We'll let Chris Benson tell the story. He was on so early in our show. I was like, I can't believe we got him on the show when we did. So thank you, Chris. In late
I didn't even know he was on your show.
Well, that's how far back it was.
It's way back in the catalog.
Yeah. This is going to be episode 384. So.
And what episode was he on?
Tony? Tony's on it.
I will do the magic.
Yeah. So we'll find that out. It's going to be shockingly low numbers. In late 2023, we met Dave Jordan of Non-Human Audio at a pedal event in OKC, Oklahoma City. We were drooling over his unique slow loris modulated slapback effect and very excited to meet him. Chris and Dave were chatting about the loris, and Chris wound up offering to help him get the effect in a different and possibly more controllable way, mostly because it sounded fun. Yada, yada, yada. So that's an intro into the slow loris. He goes on and on about it. And we have that pedal right in front of us. And thank you so much for sending that. So
yeah, of course.
Let's get into your stuff. We've jabbered about just about everything under the sun. So now it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about non-human audio pedals exclusively. So we're okay. Non-human, help us out there. Where'd that come from?
I don't really know, to be honest. I knew once I started selling pedals that I would need some kind of name. I always liked the idea of calling it audio rather than effects or pedals or something. Maybe, I'm a huge Death by Audio fan. So unquestionably, there was some influence there. Mm-hmm. I always really liked how Old Blood Noise Endeavors, that was their name because they never wanted to limit themselves to just we play guitar pedals. What they do is they, help people create noise, really. Right. So I think I was just kind of, and I'm a person, I've been in a lot of bands and I've had to name a lot of things.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm no stranger to just running through ideas and letting the word association and mutations happen.
Uh-huh.
But the interesting thing is that I never really had another option for the pedal company name.
Uh-huh.
It was just kind of amorphous nothingness until I kind of came up with Non-Human Audio, and I just kind of went with it. Before I even had a company officially, and I had just made some custom pedals and sold some things to friends. The first bunch of pedals that I named were all named after animals. And I think that was a big part of why I decided to go with Non-Human Audio, because I didn't want to do animal audio or something like that. Didn't seem to work for me.
Right.
It was very specifically not human,
right.
I'm not, and why I started naming things after animals, I also don't really know. It was just a thing I started doing and just kind of stuck with.
What was your first pedal?
My first original design was called the Cave Bear. And it was a fuzz pedal. We kind of talked about how, before we started recording that, that's a thing a lot of people start with. So it was a pretty low tuned, one knob fuzz pedal. A lot of bass players really liked it because it is kind of so low and thunderous. I didn't really know what I was doing. So it was dangerously loud.
All right.
One of the first people that ever played it was a local friend of mine who is an amp tech. And when he was playing it and testing out the original, prototype, he was like, "This is insanely loud." I was like, "I know," because for me, I love loud pedals. And he actually measured it, and it is something it's outputting something insane, 4 volts of power, whereas like most like line level things would be like 0.7 volts or something like that. So it was outputting like 4 times as much power as like any pedal should. But like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of taking what I had learned. Like when I started messing around with pedals, I was just modding big muffs. So I was just taking what I had learned from reading schematics and learning about how transistors worked. And I just kind of took it as a personal challenge to be like, well, how insane of like a 1-knob fuzz pedal can I make? And apparently the answer is pretty insane. So, yeah.
All right. Now, the genesis of your, I'm going to start building pedals, did that just came from, I feel like tinkering, or was there something more to that?
Yeah, no, that was really it. I, like I said, I had started modding big muffs for fun, because I had learned that, except for the op amp versions, every big muff has the exact same schematic. It's just different components and different component values that give them their different sounds. Mm-hmm. So since I was pretty confident I would like never be able to afford like a ram's head big muff, I would just buy new ones, like not new ones, but used new ones for $60, $70. And I would throw, a dozen component changes at it and basically recreate these kind of like old versions of big muffs using new versions as the husk, so to speak.
Right.
And then through that, I got to the point where I had a bunch of extra parts sitting around, and I was just like, well, I have all these extra parts. I know how to read a schematic. Let me see if I could make something else. So I made a point-to-point wired fuzz face, and it worked. First shot. And I was like, this is pretty fun. And then I was like, let me see if I could make my own thing. So it was really just an extension of that. It was modding big muffs. I made a fuzz face, and I wanted to see if I could design my own thing.
Yeah.
And then when I designed the Cave Bear, I had a friend play it, and he was like, this is really good. And I was like, thanks. And he's like, you should think about selling these. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, no, you should think about selling these. So, yeah, that was really it. Like, It really just came from tinkering, and I never really expected it to do anything.
But now
it was really just
now that's sort of is this your full-time job, or are you
no, I do have a day job. I am a web designer by trade, but it is kind of like having 2 simultaneous full-time day jobs.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So earlier you asked how my weekend was, and I don't really get weekends.
Yeah,
like
right.
I just, on the weekend I don't have to work my day job, but I still have to work pretty much a full day.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because you're doing something that you're passionate about, and that is going well. Now you started off with muffs, which are, that's everybody kind of knows what that is, and it's straightforward. Your pedals don't really follow that. Tell us about how you sort of decided to kind of take the more stranger path down things that seem familiar.
Sure. Yeah, I was never that interested in just building clones or building kit pedals or anything. And it's like, there's certainly no shade to that. Like, that can be a really fun hobby. And if that's all you want to do with it, then that's great.
Yeah.
But for me, I was always a person that was so interested in like chasing sound. And and that comes down to playing, 15 different big muffs to hear how they all sound different. The little intricacies of that have always really excited me and really engaged me. So like for me, when I was first starting out, I would like download schematics of these well-known pedals, whether it be like the Sinead Companion fuzz or the fuzz face or a fuzz right or whatever, put them on my breadboard, make sure they worked, and then immediately start changing things to see what it did and see if I felt like I could improve them in some way or make them more suitable for what I wanted to do or what I wanted to use it for. Because like I said, I've just never really been that interested in just kind of like doing what somebody else has already done. There's a million tube screamers out there. I don't need to make another tube screamer. When I got my feet wet with building fuzz pedals, I pretty quickly was like, all right, well, what else can I build? Let me see if I can make a delay pedal or a chorus pedal, because it's always also been a little bit of a personal challenge for me since I've been building pedals to like see if I can replace a pedal on my pedal board with one that I built.
Right.
If that makes sense. Right.
Yeah, no, that makes
so
total
like,
sense.
And there are some that I cannot do, which, like the Mood 2. I cannot replace a Chase Bliss pedal on my board with one that I've designed. But one of the pedals that was on my board for a long time was the Death by Audio Echo Dream 2, which like, I love that pedal. That's a fantastic pedal.
I had one of those.
And what I was using it for was this like, kind of subtle, but like weirdly modulated, kind of messy delay sound.
That's the first time subtle and Death by Audio have ever been put together in a sentence.
Yeah.
That might be true.
You know what? I would love if they did a pedal called Subtle. There, it's out in the universe. Go make that
It's
pedal.
true.
Nuance.
Yes.
Yeah. But, like I said earlier, like I like the way I have my pedal board structure is I like to have everything doing a little bit. So for me with the Echo Dream 2, I would keep the delay really low and the modulation really slow and really low. And it was just a layer that would sit in there. So I was like, well, let me see if I can figure out how to make a delay that kind of does that thing, but with my own spin on it. And that eventually became one of my pedals, the Mocking Blur, which literally just started with me saying like, well, I've heard about this PT2399 chip. Let me get some of those and see if I can figure out how to make it work. And because I'm me, just like the fuzz pedals, as soon as I got the core of it working on my breadboard, I just started messing with it and just started like, what if I put a resistor here? What if I change this value? What if I change that value? What if I underpower it? What if I do this? And that has always really excited me through this whole process because, like I said, the world doesn't need more tube screamers. But if I can find a really interesting way to do something that hasn't been done, then like that's what's more exciting to me.
Yeah. If you can just put a little English on something, then that's a pool term or a billiard term. Sorry if anybody's
pong.
like, what
It's a
is he
ping
talking
pong
about?
term.
That's a
Billiards.
billiards. Yeah, just a little spin on it. Just a little. Yeah. Anyhow, that's cool. I really appreciate that because sometimes you just need that little subtle. You don't need it to do everything under the sun.
Yeah.
You just want it to I wish it did a little bit more of this. And I don't think that your approach to how you're using the pedals and therefore designing the pedals is very strange at all. I think a lot, I know I do. I don't jam all the effects on like full on. I too like to just go, I either want a little bit of movement, I want a little bit of this. I just need a little bit of flair over here. I need a little English.
A certain je ne sais quoi.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that's a great approach. And there are loads of pedals that do everything really, really hardcore.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of refreshing to have something that it does a few things a little bit really well.
Yeah, thanks. And it definitely is. It's definitely something I strive for. And that's something that has drawn a lot of people to the slow loris, especially because it's very simple, but it does have a fair amount of flexibility. But it really just kind of does what it does. And people really, really appreciate that, like, you know, it's not a Maris pedal or something. And no shade to Maris. Maris makes amazing pedals.
Yeah.
But they are extremely complicated and extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And that really works for some people, but sometimes people just want a couple knobs and a pedal that just makes a sound they really like.
Yeah.
Really simply, you know.
And I think you accomplished it with this. I mean, let's talk about the pedals that we have here in front of us. The first one, you know, the slow loris. It is. I mean, some people might say it's a one-trick pony, but I'll tell you what, it does that trick.
I think it's a one-trick pony.
Who was that? Get that person out of here. But it does it so well, and there's essentially two controls on it. There's you can basically, I would call it a blend or a balance. You call it a balance, right? Balance and fidelity.
Yeah, blend, balance. Yeah,
and that's blending the effect signal with the original. But it's the craziest thing. This, the control and the volume pedal or knob. It if you put it to the left hand side, it's very much, this is like I would call it a slapback echo. But when you start turning it over to the other side, it starts to get a little bit more unpredictable, I guess you would say, and very, very much, if you hit the strings really hard, it does one thing. If you back off and play a little bit lighter, it's a little bit different kind of effect. So, I mean, it's just one of those pedals. I think that if this is a sound that you like and you don't want to have to go through and program something, in a whatever pedal, this one just does it so well. And it's to me, and I really appreciate simple pedals because I came from a time when pedals, were two knobs and a push switch, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And so this one, I mean, this just really does a great trick.
Thank you. Yeah. It's the thing that I've kind of said about it, and I say this because a bunch of people have kind of said similar things to me, is that there's something about the slow loris that fills a need for people that they didn't know they had.
Yeah, I would yeah.
Like it fills a hole in their sound that they didn't know was there until they played the pedal. And then they were like, oh, I don't have anything that does this quite like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and it's a thing that a lot of people have really connected with because of that. And, it's obviously, it's really flattering being like just a lifelong fan of pedals and being somebody that's played a ton of them and has had huge pedal boards at times in my life, like to have had pedals that were that for me and were that kind of inspiring for me, to then be able to like create something and put it out into the world that other people are getting that experience out of, it's just like, it means so much to me to like have been able to like put whatever little bit of stamp on this scene and industry that I could, inadvertently too,
Well,
like we said, I never set out to do this. And like the fact that I've just kind of stumbled into this thing that people have found so inspiring is so huge. Like, it's just, when people tell me that like they got the pedal and it, they wrote a song because of this sound that they were getting, that's the best feedback and the best compliment I could ever receive about that,
Well, in addition to it sounding great, it also, I love, and your whole pedal line is kind of done this way. It's almost like dripped, splashed, whatever, sprayed paints on it just makes the aluminum boxes just look so much cooler, and all of them have the name of the pedal kind of reversed out, I guess, or covered up when you're spraying these things. And I mean, I just love it. It's a very unique in terms of in the pedal world. Todd, have you seen anything similar to this? Or
I think it's a combination of using the paint with the stencil is certainly a marked approach to it for sure. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's cool to see just different techniques, and that means everyone's just a little bit different. Which I think that's also something that is really great as a pedal collector. When you get a chance to have something that's unique in some way, a little bit different, a limited colorway, a special run, these are all, you do lots of uncleans, but every single one is just a little bit different. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And that was also, that was a byproduct of, when I started building them and selling, custom ones for friends or whatever, it obviously never have made sense to have to get enclosures made in any sort of quantity. Mm-hmm. So it was really just, it was a solution, I guess, a solution to not necessarily
Necessity
a problem.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah, no, it really was. Yeah, it was an answer to a question, right? Of just kind of like, I mean, like I said, I'm a web designer, so I've been a designer, I've been an artist for my entire life. So when I started building pedals, I knew that I couldn't just, write on a metal box with Sharpie and put it on my board. Because if I don't want to look at a pedal, I don't want to play it. And I know that about myself. I have some great sounding pedals that don't look cool. So they've literally not been on my board, because when I look down to play a pedal, I don't want to think, I wish that pedal looked better.
Yeah, you want to be inspired on both ends. I mean, I've got some fantastic looking pedals that sound like garbage. I won't name them.
Right.
I won't name them.
But you want to look down and see something that makes you want to play it.
Right.
So it was really a solution to the like, well, what am I going to make these look like? Kind of question. And it's just kind of how I stumbled into it. The first couple were just etched. They were just like the letters and then etched and then a little bit of clear coat sometimes. And then I pretty quickly realized that like I couldn't just only etch every pedal. So that's when I started incorporating some different techniques in terms of whether it be spray paint or splatter paint. Every pedal still gets etched no matter what, but every pedal gets a little bit of a different process after that step.
Cool, man.
It would be cool.
Okay.
When I was a kid, there's I forget what it was called. It was like a turntable, and you put a piece of paper on it, and it had
Spirograph.
No, it wasn't the Spirograph.
Yeah.
This was one. It had little bottles of paint, and you made a.
The it spins. It's a spinning. Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I know what you're
spin
talking
art
about.
kind of thing or something like that.
That would be kind of. I mean, it's a little different from what you're doing, but that just came to mind, I'm thinking about when I was a kid.
Yeah. No, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
It spins at high speed, and then you drop things. And
You put the drops, and it just sprays it all over
Goes
the place.
bananas.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. Put that on your Christmas list.
Go make that.
Yeah, go make that, would you?
Yeah.
So the second pedal that you sent us, which I also liked a heck of a lot, it's called the Unclean, and this one in a nutshell is it's a 2-stage drive, basically 2 drives in one. And I think the magic...
It's a cascading distortion, Tony.
A cascading distortion. Wow, you really put that so nicely.
I've thought about it for a long time.
Yes, I know you have. But I think the magic on this pedal is what you call your resonance knob that either filters out or allows more bass frequency to cut through. And to me, that I spent more time playing with that, going back and forth and just seeing how it reacted. Mm-hmm. I just, this one is a very, I think you can really dial in a very specific distortion and a very specific tone just by playing around with the knobs a little bit.
It seems like both of these circuits are specifically designed to have like enough headroom on the gain controls to give you the flexibility of having either both channels work as a boost or a slightly dirty boost or a full distortion, Tony.
Welcome to my world, Dave.
Yes, well written, by the way.
I
really well put.
Couldn't have said it better
yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell us.
I'm assuming that one probably produced quite a bit of challenge, so that it just didn't sound like a gob of nonsense.
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting one. I play. And this goes to my approach to a lot of my pedal designs. Is like it fills a need that I have. Mm-hmm. So like I play dead clean amps. Like I play vintage Fenders with like underpowered preamp tubes. I have a JC 120. Like, so I always have an always on pedal. Mm-hmm. Always. And that's been a different thing over time. I had a modded Rat for a little while. I actually had built myself like a modded fuzz face to sit in that spot. Cause to do that like volume down, very clean fuzz face thing as like my first stage gain. And I was really looking to design something that not only I could use in that spot, but I could also add to my pedal line as like a more accessible, like, hey, you want a distortion pedal or an overdrive pedal? Like, yes, I make that too, kind of thing. And the origin of the circuit was actually an old idea that I was messing with that I never really got off the ground. And the original design was very, very similar to the Unclean, but it had essentially the first stage was just maxed out. So it was like pretty intense all the time. And when I was thinking about this idea of, if I was going to make like a more accessible overdrive distortion pedal, what would I do that would also have like my own personal spin on it? And what would I do differently? I kind of came back to that idea of that old pedal, and I put it back on my breadboard, and in typical me fashion, I just kind of started tinkering with it, and I kind of tightened it up a little bit and really kind of like tweaked the values, and I was like, it's still not there. And then I came up with the idea of like, well, what if I made both of the like gain channels independently controlled? Because as far as I could think of, that's not a thing that exists, right? Like there are certainly 2-in-1 pedals. There are, pedals like the full drive or the longsword, which like have a boost channel, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I knew, there weren't really any pedals out there that had independent control of those gain stages. Because like once you get past, the 70s, once you get past the Distortion Plus and the Rat, everything has multiple gain stages.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything. But none of them are independently controllable. And once I cracked that idea, the whole thing opened up for me. And then, like you said, keeping it from just sounding like a pile of nonsense.
Yeah.
Really came down to a lot of tweaking and a lot of specific voicing, and the resonance control, like that bass cut in there was something else that I was like, a lot of people have active bass controls. A lot of people have, obviously so many distortion pedals have tone controls of one manner, whether it's just a high cut or, a big muff style or something. But because I am always stacking many things, I kept coming back to the idea of like, if you have something super bassy and you throw it at something that's already overdriven, or something like a big muff or a high gain amp or something like that, if you have too much bass content going to something like that, your signal is just going to turn to nothing. It's going to turn to mush.
Yeah.
So the idea of being able to carve out that bass control, or that bass content, I should say, seemed like really the right call for that, to really help carve that tonal range. Because with the different channels being differently voiced, you can either have a lot of bass or, a lot of aggression, and just being able to kind of tighten that up, especially when going into something else that's already distorted. It was something that I didn't feel like I had seen that often, obviously there's pedals with 3-band EQs where you can dump out the bass and stuff like that. But a specifically placed bass cut like that, just, it felt right.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah, I can dig that. One quick question, and then I think we'll be rounding third, heading home, is you've got gain 1 and gain 2. Gain 1 is, you say this channel comes first, and it is brighter and more aggressive, and gain 2 is a little darker and lower gain. I think oftentimes when you're thinking about pedal stacking, putting the low gain into a high gain or a soft clip into a hard clip is, now I realize those are two different things, but I'm just saying sort of like stepping up into a stack. This is the reverse. This is
The aggressive bright one is first.
Into low gain, which is a very different thing.
Yeah. I wish I had like a more thought out, intelligent answer to why it is that way, besides the fact that it just sounded best that way.
Sure.
So there, Todd.
At the end of the day, I know a lot of people that design based on schematic first, I guess. They have an idea and they come up with a schematic and then they build from there.
Right.
Or they design their PCB and then once they get it, they kind of tweak based on what they've gotten. I'm kind of the opposite, where like I might have the core idea, but like I don't write anything down until I feel like I have something worth writing down. So I just design by ear before anything else. So something like that, it was really just like, well, it sounds best with the higher gain, brighter channel going into the darker one.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
And for me, I favor the first gain channel, or the, we can call it channel, the first gain control, whatever. But like, I always have that one turned up a little bit more. And then I kind of use the second one to just kind of bring in a little bit more low rumble
body. Yeah.
Yeah, it tames the signal.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, and I like that. I like that combination, and I like what those do. And, I don't, like I said, it ultimately is just kind of sounded best, but I think I also really like the idea of really running that first channel really hot and overloading the second one a little bit too, because once you get both of them going, it is like starts to get pretty unruly. And I think that's because you're throwing so much more signal into the second channel.
I can get it. Yep, I can dig that. Well, man, this has been really cool learning about your pedal journey. And obviously you've got more pedals that we want people to go explore, because there's some, the same philosophy is applying to the other pedals that he's got available. So if you like what you're hearing, chances are you're probably going to end up liking what you're hearing. See what I did right there?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, it's dropping like gold out of my pockets, man.
Sing and repeat. Sing and repeat.
Hey, before we go, I want to ask you guys a question.
Absolutely.
Are either of you guys like horror movie fans?
Ooh, not me. I can't do it. I don't have room in my soul for that.
The
last thing that I saw, I will tell you this, the last remotely scary thing that I saw was The Ring. And I watched I watched it up until she started opening the closet in the first like 2 minutes. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. And I sat there with a row of grown men friends, and with my hands over my eyes the whole time, and they were trying to pull my hands off my eyes. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I don't need this.
No,
I get brain stain.
I do like horror films, but my wife absolutely hates them. So I seldom, if ever, get to see them unless I'm like staying up till like 3 a.m. binge watching something.
So where's this going?
Well, that does kind of answer my question, but if either of you guys have ever seen the old Candyman movies, the guy that plays Candyman, the actor's name is Tony Todd.
Tony Todd.
That's the second time that's come up on the show. That's crazy. Yes. Apparently we need a picture of him up around here somewhere.
Yeah, we should. He could be our
I bet
you definitely should.
If we could get one that is signed, we need to look for that on like Etsy or something.
There's
or
gotta
fake
be
it.
something.
I'll fake it.
Or we can
print it and sign
get
it.
him to record a special thing on Cameo.
Yeah. Maybe that's available.
Now, that would be incredible because like he's getting older. He's not really acting much, but he has this incredibly recognizable voice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could get him to like record like an intro or something, that would be legendary.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, or make him do the would you rather.
Yeah, at least provide one.
Yeah. Good ideas around the horn. All right, Tony.
Yes?
We got something. Hit it.
Yes, at this point of the show, Todd, is a little game we like to play called Would You Rather?
Okay.
Or Would You Rather,
Yeah.
for those who can't make it.
Brava.
Rather. Bravo, I say.
Yeah.
Chin chin. This week's Would You Rather, if you remember earlier in the show, we talked about some crazy UK band getting back together.
Oh, boy.
And I think we know how it's likely to end.
I hope not, but keep going.
So what I believe will happen before the end of the tour, the band will break up again, Oasis. And the good news is, both the brothers Gallagher have noticed how good your guitar playing is. And
mine?
all of this, I'm speaking to each individual who is answering the the thing. Yes. Yeah.
So you driving the Nissan Sentra.
Yes. Up. Watch it. Pay attention. Oh, he almost cut you off. So they both have an interest in having you come on board. And, in the era of reforming bands, Liam is putting Beady Eye back together.
Whoa.
He wants you to play.
That'll happen again.
It probably will. And Noel is putting his High Flying Birds back together, and he'd like you to play. So the question is, would you rather play with Liam and Beady Eye?
Yeah.
Or would you rather play with Noel and the High Flying Birds?
Well, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I mean, he hasn't put away really the High Flying Birds.
No, he hasn't. But
okay. For the sake of this, I get it. Yes. Okay.
They had to break up to reform Oasis.
Is there anything specific that goes along with? So, like, if we're playing in Beady Eye, we're playing a blank, and if we're playing in High Flying Birds, which is a little bit more eccentric, you're playing a blank.
You have to play strats in both.
They're not strat.
All right. No. It's a very simple. Would you rather?
Okay.
Would you rather play with Liam or would you rather play with Noel?
Okay. All right.
Do you want me to go first?
Please.
So I've never heard either of their other bands.
Okay.
So I have to, answering this question, I have to strictly go with just the impression that I've gotten from watching basically various interviews with either of them over the years.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys want to go first.
Okay, I'll go
Tony will go.
I will go first.
Okay.
Now, this is going to probably surprise you, Todd. But I have, Todd and I have these discussions about Oasis and, who we like better, Liam or Noel. And generally speaking,
just a couple of teenage girls.
Yes. I'm Team Noel. And I always had kind of a bad opinion of Liam because he was and probably still is kind of a
genius,
drunken idiot.
No.
But I will say, since listening,
Careful.
I've been listening to both their solo projects and Oasis stuff recently. There is something. Liam has an incredible rock and roll voice. There is no doubt about it. I mean, there's stuff that borders on Johnny Rotten kind of sounding stuff, and I just really think as a front man, there's probably none better. Noel, I think he's got a sweet he's a sweet boy voice and a really good guitar player and great songwriter. There's no doubt about that. But if I had to choose just for the sheer fun of it, I'm going to Beady Eye.
All right.
With my good friend Liam.
Okay.
And hopefully my liver can make it through the tour.
All right. Let's see. Let's go to Dave.
I would have to go with Noel, for so many reasons. I actually don't think Liam is a very good singer. And certainly, and again, I say this as not really an Oasis fan. So even my exposure to Oasis has been fairly limited. But the stuff I've heard, Liam seems very narrow in his ability. And I think that would really bug me as a band member. Now, granted, if he's paying me enough money to be there, then I'm willing to put up with it. But I also just think that like Noel would have more of an open mind to, I don't know, we'll say sonic experimentation. I know that he's kind of a gear guy. He's not a snob about it, but like, you know, he's a guy that appreciates like, I think he's a guy that would appreciate some like weird sounds and
like scissors.
Like
Which is
just
literally
like,
he had somebody playing the scissors in his band.
yeah.
It's
See,
a
there
French
you go.
girl.
Right. So it's
Yeah.
like, just he'd let me like build up a big weird pedal board and, you know, just kind of do my thing. And I feel like I also just feel like as a person, Liam seems just pretty intolerable. It's like, you know, and they're brothers, right? So like taking their contentious relationship off the table, Noel has always seemed at least a little bit more easygoing, and a little bit easier to just kind of be around.
Yeah. Who do you think you could take in a fight?
I think I could probably take Noel in a fight.
Yeah, I think Noel is
like, I think like Liam, I think Liam would be way more of a dirty fighter. Like, I think he seems like the kind of guy that'd be like way more likely to stab you.
He's going to punch first for sure.
Oh,
when you're
you
not
know
looking.
it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's a guy
Noel,
that's a guy that had his front teeth pulled out by German police. Did you know that story?
yeah.
Todd, do
I
you
don't
know that story? Oh,
Yeah,
we'll save it for
yeah.
another day. But yeah, just take it from me that while he was drunk and unconscious after a German bar fight, he attacked a couple of cops, and they decided that they should pull his front teeth out.
How do I not know that?
I'll share something with you.
Oh, wow.
I have one of the teeth.
Oh, yeah. So it's not even a question for me.
Yes.
I'm going BDI all the way.
All right.
Rock and roll all the time, all the way.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah, I think your style would fit in probably
Yeah,
better with Liam.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Liam, if you're
that's what I'm
listening,
I'm available.
yeah, Todd will just hop on a plane and be over there shortly.
I will. And I think I'll answer for Michio Murakishi.
Yes.
I think he would actually go for Noel.
You think?
Now, Michio, you let me know, okay? Joe Halliday's definitely hanging out with me and Liam, though,
Yeah,
for sure.
and me.
Yeah. Anyways,
Maybe we could
that's
get
a good one.
Let's get the band back together.
Yeah. We need to thank a few people, and then we're going to say goodbye to Dave.
That is correct, Todd, because at this part of the show, there's a special group of people that we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Quite simple. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple of different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts and opportunities to win special giveaways. Oh, yes, there's more coming. But in addition to that, all that great stuff, there's one thing more. Todd, what would that be? You get to have your name read on the thing. I'm translating for Todd right now. So, special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Barazin, Michael Davenport, Eric Marrow, and Plutone.
Yeah.
But wait, Todd, there's more.
Okay.
There's a special group of special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones. And they're just really all around nice people. So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs. Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, Jonathan Jerusa from 12th Hour Devices, TikTok, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler K.C. Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wham Pickups, and Pedro Vasquez. A thank you, and a more thank you.
Indeed. Truly, we are appreciative of you.
Oh, Todd?
Yes.
I had our librarian check back into the records, and Benson Amps appeared on episode number 59.
Goodness sakes. What was he thinking?
Back in September of 2017.
Man, that took a lot of patience, I think, probably from him, because he was already building all-star amps, and we were...
Were we still using the old rig with that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That was rough stuff.
Well, it worked.
That's wild.
Now, we need to say a huge thank you to our friend Dave Jordan of Non-Human Audio for joining us on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to do this.
Now, if people want to see your wares, where can they go?
nonhumanaudio.com is the website, and at nonhumanaudio on Instagram. Those are the two places. If you go to the if you don't do Instagram, you go to the website. I do have a mailing list if you want to sign up.
Cool.
And I don't spam. I usually just send out a newsletter every month or so, kind of telling people what I've got going on, whether I have new things coming up or, pretty basic stuff. But yeah,
there's also a lot of great sound
website.
clips too.
Yeah, that's true. You could track me down on YouTube to watch some demos, and if you don't do the Instagram, that's a good place to find me. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
Good. Tony, how about yourself?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out the stuff that I do. What do? I make custom pick guards for guitars. Why don't you just shoot me an email? Let me know what you're trying to do, what you need, what color. You want to change out pickups? Yeah, we can do that. You want to change out the controls? Yeah, we can do that too. Mm-hmm. It's your opportunity to make your guitar even more yours.
Even more yours.
That's
right. You can shoot me an email, todd@theguitarknobs.com, or maybe even better, shoot me a DM on Instagram @guitarknobs. Love to hear from you. Give us we need some new would you rathers.
Yes.
Yeah. Tony can't do all the hard lifting here.
Oh man, my brain is bursting.
I know. Yeah, we're just glad that you're listening. Continue to listen. Tell a friend. Do that. That's what you can do.
Tell two friends.
Well, we'll start with one. Keep it easy.
It's
a low barrier to entry to help us. All right.
And if anybody knows Tony Todd, out there knows Tony Todd,
seriously,
make sure to, get in touch.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be great. All right. Dave, thanks a lot. We're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic guitar weekend. Subscribe!
Well, it winds through Missouri.
That was rough.
Down to
Gallup
Missouri.
is a...
Oklahoma City looks so pretty.
Gallup's,
Odyssey.
Okay, get it. Well, hey now, Dave Jordan.
How's it going? What's that?
Do you have native heritage?
Oh, no. I grew up in Connecticut. I'm like...
I grew up in Connecticut. It's great. It's really good. Lou Diamond Phillips is in it.
Oh, I like Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah, man. Very excited. We're in the
This is
the pre-show.
Yeah, we're
Yeah, just hemming
heating up
hemming
the
and
mash.
hawing.
Heating up the mash.
Heating up the mash, he says.
Yeah.
Beep-a-dop-a-doop, beep-bop-boop. Did you have a good weekend?
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you.
All right.
You sound like a Connecticut Yankee.
Oof.
A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court.
Yeah, it was with Mark Twain, right?
Was that Twain?
He knows. You don't. You the one who's making the joke?
For some
Tony,
reason,
you're
I didn't
slipping.
think. I didn't think it was Mark Twain.
Is your name Dave?
Yes.
That was quicker.
It was a little faster.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Could you get me a soda too?
Yeah. What flavor?
Whatever. Just as long as it's not chocolate.
You don't have. Hey, chocolate soda's good.
I think it's gross. No, I don't want that one.
That's the one.
I don't want that one.
You just said. I don't care what flavor.
I do
Dave,
not
did you
want
hear
that
him
one.
say I don't care just as long as it's not chocolate, right?
I don't like that one.
I did hear that. Yeah.
This is
I
ginger
can
lime
vouch for that.
mule.
I hate it.
Ew.
I hate that. You can have that if you like it so much.
Yeah, it's Mark Twain.
It might be Samuel Hawthorne.
Oh, Samuel
No.
Clemens. I think it was
Clemens.
Samuel.
Damn it, I was so close. Shoot. I was thinking of Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Yeah, that's a different.
not
guy.
Nathaniel Clemens. That's a different person.
Smash that like button.
Yes. Indeed. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.